Hi, in this demo we're going to look at when we tap a part in the parts list, we want to see some detail. So we've already got an adding view controller here to add a part to the catalog. Now we want to see some detail in that catalog. So to review, I've got our entire storyboard layout here. The main view controller is a tab bar controller, and it has two tabs. One for a parts listing, the catalog, which is a navigation controller wrapper, and the other one for the assemblies, which we haven't dealt with at all yet. We'll get to that later. Then the parts list is a table view, and this is our catalog. We can add a part, and that will segue us to this view controller. We can also now tap on a part, and that will segue us to this detail view controller. So let's look at this view controller now. So if I zoom in on this detail view controller specifically, what we're going to do is we're going to put the part number up in the title bar of this detail view controller. And then we have the name, the description, and then quantity bin and reorder level. In the next demo, we're actually going to allow the user to change these. But for now, we're just going to display them. When we change them, we're going to have to manipulate both the catalog table and also the inventory. So I'm not going to deal with that today. I'm just going to deal with displaying the information for a particular part when we tap on the appropriate cell in the table view. So the first thing I've done is I've set up a segue between the cell itself, the row, and this detail view controller. So let's display a little bit more information here so that we can see what's going on. If I select the segue and go to this view, I'll see that I have an identifier, and that is detail. And this is a push segue because we're in a navigation controller, and we're just going to push a new view controller in that navigation controller on top of our table view. So that makes sense. So now in this, we of course have some properties and methods. And if I look at my detail view controller object, underlying this view controller is actually, and we can see the detail view controller scene, is actually a new view controller that I've added called detail view controller, and it's shown here. And I can see that my custom class for this view controller is in fact detail view controller. The detail view controller doesn't have any actions hooked up to these at all. It doesn't have any action methods hooked up to these controls. That'll be for the next demo. At any rate, we have two labels with properties, and then these also will be filled in. These text fields will be filled in. So let's go ahead and look at the header file for our detail view controller. I have these outlets, the name, the description, and those are labels, and then three text fields for the quantity, the bin, and the reorder. Now, if you haven't picked it up already, I like to, in my outlet properties, preface the names of these properties with 2 or 3 letters that tell me what kind of field or what kind of view, control, whatever, that I'm going to with the property. So LB name and LB description are LB standing for label, and then TF quantity, bin, and reorder. TF stands for text field. So you'll see me doing that a lot, and that's kind of a throwback to an old school style, but it works for me, and hopefully you'll adopt some sort of style of your own that will let you know what kind of field or what kind of controller view you're going to in these properties. Now, I can't, in a segue, directly adjust the value of an outlet property. I have to have a property that backs it in some way. So that's what these other properties are for. Part number, name, description, quantity, bin, and reorder. I've got a P in front of all of these, and that stands for part. Okay, so now my methods are really, after synthesis here, I really just override view did appear. Now, view did load isn't the right place to do this. View did load is going to be called one time, but view did appear is going to be called every time the view appears. And this is where I want to copy what is in the P properties, the part properties, P name, P number, P desk, back to the fields that are going to hold it. So you see, the first thing I do here is set the title of this view controller, and that will set the title in the title bar of the detail view controller. And I set that to the part number. And then all the other pieces are set. All those other controls are set here in View Did Appear using the values that come in from our other places. In the case of the quantity and the reorder, these need to be texts, but P quantity and P reorder are NSU ints. So we need to use a string with format kind of wrapping. And that's really it for the detail view controller. One other thing that we do, let's see, in this demo, all we're doing is displaying the content, the detail content. So this should just work. So let's run it and check and see if it works. So this is really very simple. If I click on a triangle, I see the part number and then the detail. Name triangle, description a triangle, and then I've got a quantity, a bin, and a reorder level. So that's it. If I click on a square, likewise I get the information for a square, a circle. If I add a part, let's say the part number here, we know that this works, we just tested it, PN004. We'll call the name rectangle. Don't have one of those yet. Description, a rectangle. Reorder quantity. Let's say we want to reorder 25 of those when we are out of those. And then if I add the new part, it shows up here in my parts list, in my catalog. We know it went to the catalog because it's showing up here. And then if I click on rectangle, I get the detail information. The bin for new parts is set up to be new part. We could set this to unassigned. That would be logical as well. Thank you very much.